I just stopped into Whole Foods to get a refill on some decaf coffee as I'm taking a trip to Knoxville to watch the American East Semifinals. Super excited to visit the Syndicate Crown. I've never actually gone to a semifinal event in person to watch, and it's really nice to actually just be someone that gets to go and be a part of this. So taking the new Tesla, we're at the charging station. We're gonna get filled up here, and it's been a great drive so far. Can't wait to get there. Here's everything I packed for my trip. I've got my workout bag. I'm planning on doing a spectator experience workout. That'll be super fun. I've got my overnight stuff in that bag, just an extra set of clothes to change into today and tonight. I bring my own pillow to stay in hotels because I don't want my face going on those pillows. And I have a cooler. In the cooler, I have some maple syrup for my lunch to pour over my cottage cheese, which I'm gonna have right now, or at least while I'm driving. Cottage cheese with maple syrup is amazing. This is not a maple syrup jar. This is just what I'm carrying it in so that I can toss it. We're just reusing a jar. I've got protein shake in here. I've got 3 water bottles with Element filled in there to keep me super hydrated. I don't only drink Element when I work out. On a day like today, when I am outside and it's 90 degrees in the Alabama sun and I'm wearing a sweatshirt, it's because I'm going to play airsoft with my son. And we're going to be running around the outside here, being super active. And I've got a sweatshirt on so that the airsoft pellets don't hurt as much. I'm going to hydrate with Element while I'm out here because I want to be well hydrated, even while I'm playing with my son. Element helps anyone stay hydrated. The deal is electrolyte deficiency or imbalance can cause headaches, cramps, fatigue, brain fog, and weakness. Each Element stick pack delivers a meaningful dose of electrolytes free of sugar, artificial colors, or other dodgy ingredients. Element is formulated for anyone on a mission to restore health through hydration and is perfectly suited for athletes like us. Get your free sample pack with any drink mix purchase at drinkelement.com/Jason Grubb. Also try the new Element Sparkling, a bold 16-ounce can of sparkling electrolyte water. Just for fun, I have Element Sparkling, because it's delicious. I've got everything packed. I even have spoons and napkins. So, I just like to eat my own food. I don't like to eat out that much. I've got yogurt in here as well. 3 tubs of yogurt, 1 to cover breakfast, 1 to cover lunch tomorrow, maybe a snack with some yogurt, and that's it. So I will eat out a little bit, but I've got some of my staples with me. I will say that driving in a Tesla across country is so easy. The workload of driving is been solved by Tesla, and I'm a huge fan, so I'll just say that. I have my phone attached to a mount here, which is why it's just stationary right there. Keep my eyes on the road, keep my hands within range of the steering wheel, but it is self-driving its way to Knoxville. I've got 44 miles to go. Honestly, I can keep something playing on my phone and keep my eyes on the road. I listen to a podcast. I've been actually listening to a bit of the semifinals, the events I'm missing, but I'll get to see when I get there. It's just great. So sitting back, relaxing, driving in this is just a piece of cake. And I'm actually considering spending some time in Colorado this summer to prepare for the CrossFit Games to get some altitude training. I've done that every year that I've gone to the CrossFit Games. And I was thinking just the other day, if I drive out to Colorado, it's just so easy. It's so easy in this car to drive. In fact, I multitask. I've got the Kinian move, run in, little light therapy on my arm. This elbow has been just a teeny bit tight lately. So probably got some inflammation building in there. I'm just gonna use this to help sap that inflammation. I have a massage gun in here. Again, it's more about just not being bored while I'm in the car. I'm not gonna lie, I am driving with a bag of chips. There's a nibble of these every once in a while. This is avocado oil based chips. It's a road trip. I'm driving 4 hours. I gotta have a couple of chips. They're not terrible. That's where we're at on this driving situation. I really don't mind driving, especially when the car does most of the work. People often ask, is it a pain to go to superchargers on the way? Not really. I plugged in Knoxville, the actual auditorium convention center that I'm going to, from home, and what the car does is it automatically maps me to as many superchargers as I need to get from point A to point B. And I did need to stop in Chattanooga, Tennessee to do 1 supercharge on the way. And that supercharger was funny. It had me there for 12 minutes in order to fill the car up with enough energy to get me to Knoxville. I went ahead and added more or charged the battery quite a bit more so that I wouldn't have to worry about charging until I leave Knoxville tomorrow. All right, we made it. Took a little longer than I thought. Not gonna get a workout in the spectator workout area. I'm just gonna go get some press credentials and figure out how to get in.
Perfect.
That race was amazing. So fun to come and watch in person and be just a spectator and enjoy this. It's also a very well run competition. So everything's on time. Super cool to watch. Being on the broadcast with Sean and Adrian was super fun. I don't know, it was just really fun. Maybe I've got a future in that. Unlikely, but man, it was just an honor. Those guys are so good at their job. It was so cool to see behind the scenes, like how they do their homework really quick and they have notes all over their paper, what the winning team got, what the next team needs to get. It's not all fed to them. They do all of that work themselves. And then they end up presenting the story in the broadcast, which is just wicked cool. It was great to be able to be on there with them and have something fun to say. Appreciate CrossFit for that. There were some super, super close races today, particularly the rope climb workout with Haley and Emma Lawson. It was super tight, super fun. It was really fun to watch Dallin Pepper and Roman Krennikov race, although Roman jumped off his box at the end and Alan got a couple of no reps. So I think they're both going to make it to the games. That was whatever. It was still a great race. It was fun to see the action. And I think that's what makes our sport fun, when there's real races going on. As a competitor, I prefer the lay down win. I prefer to be in Tia's shoes, where you're just like, hey, I'm so far ahead that I'm just going to win. I think I prefer those types of events, for sure. I prefer those types of competitions. I love going in to the last event knowing that I've already won. Like that's great. It's not entertaining. And I have had competitions where I have had to win the last event in order to win the competition. And that's super stressful as an athlete, but it's very entertaining to watch.
Jason Grubb and Jason Luukkonen, the top two men in the overall standings, will be right next to each other. Luukkonen with a 4-point lead. He's on the left side over Jason Grubb. Grubb trying to become the 3-time Legends champion. We are underway. 12 bar muscle ups to start. Lanes 4 and 5. That's the battle for first place.
Let me be.
690 now to 688. So the good news is for Luukkonen, he's only got to beat Grubb by 1 spot.
Jason Grubb smells blood in the water right now, Sean.
$790 points for Grubb. A great effort. Back-to-back wins for Jason Grubb.
At this year's CrossFit Games, it is going to be close. My competition is going to be incredibly challenging at the CrossFit Games this year. So I competed against all of these guys in 2019. I was 43 was my second trip to the CrossFit Games, and I won in 2019. It was my first CrossFit Games win, and I competed against all these guys, and I've seen them as I aged up after that, and I've seen them continue to evolve as athletes. So game on. This just makes me want to go work out, watching competition like this. Now it's time to get some food and some real dinner. I don't know where or what I'm going to do. I don't mind having to find a spot for dinner. Hopefully I find something healthy around here. And now I've got that problem of what do I eat? I used to love Whole Foods, but their hot bar is just not anything that I want. There's nothing there. It's all cooked in canola oil, so I don't want that. I had cottage cheese and maple syrup for lunch. I had yogurt for a snack, so I need some carbs, I need protein, and this is why I like to eat at home and eat the same thing every day. I just know exactly what to eat. It makes it really easy. Being out makes me want, in some ways, just to go to McDonald's and just get a couple of beef patties, Yeah, it's really frustrating. So I'm gonna walk around and see what I can actually decide to get. But right now, it's not looking good. If I could find some shrimp would do it. Shrimp would be great protein. So see if that can happen here. This is the kind of spaghetti sauce that we get, and it's got great ingredients. This is meat lasagna. It's got some grain in there in pasta. I normally don't eat that, but it's not terrible. I'll have it every once in a while. It's got 20 grams of protein, and there's 3 servings here. So that's gonna give me about 1,000 calories and 60 grams of protein. That's really all I care about. Carbohydrates, I've got 90 grams of carbohydrates. That's gonna get me pretty caught up for the day. I'm buying a frozen dinner because it's an option, and I'm just tired. You ever get to that point where you're just tired? You're I'm not gonna go through somewhere and drive through. I'm just gonna get this right back to the hotel and heat it up because I think I have a microwave. It's in an extended stay. So yeah, bon appetit. It's gonna be delicious. I don't know. I'm just so tired. I just want to go eat. I'm just chilling out after dinner. And I will say the lasagna, which I forgot to show you a video of, was great. It was delicious. It was a full-size dinner. All the calories that I wanted. I do find that if I don't get enough fuel, even on a day that I'm not training, I don't sleep well, which ends up affecting the next day. It's a whole thing. So that's why I generally like to stay in rhythm, almost eating the same stuff every day, trying to hit the same macros every day, having rhythms and routines, which may seem a little bit obsessive, which would be a fair assessment. I want to be ready for tomorrow when I get to tomorrow, and I want to be well prepared for that. And a lot of that is what I do today makes me prepared for tomorrow. So if I sleep well, if I eat well, if I recover well, I'll take a shower before I go to bed. It'll get me a little bit warm. I've got the air conditioner in the hotel here set to 67, which is awesome. So I have a nice cool room to sleep in. The blinds will be closed. It's 8:30 at home, 9:30 here. So I'm probably gonna go to bed within an hour or so. And just get a good night's sleep. I'm very excited for good sleep. Sunday morning, I am back at Whole Foods to try to get some breakfast. And their hot bar is empty. What is going on? Just want some eggs. I skipped the breakfast at the hotel, which is I don't trust those eggs. Yeah, there's nothing here. Downgraded, major downgrade in the Whole Foods opinion right now. I've got strawberries. I need some food. Frustrating. I may get fast food for breakfast. What happened to Whole Foods? They used to make coffee. Now they have a coffee machine. 2 strikes, 3 strikes. And I forgot that I did bring yogurt. So I have a Fage yogurt that is nearly full. I added my flavoring to it, so it's gonna be delicious. And tons of protein in there for carbohydrates this morning. I've got strawberries. This is not perfect. I'll have to catch up on more carbohydrates later, much more. But when I'm on a road trip, I always want to get McDonald's. That breakfast is so good, and then I will feel like garbage. So I'd rather feel good here and get to the competition so I can watch. One of the things I was doing while I was watching the competition is watching for these little hacks, these little tricks, how people are getting their feet in or out of the rowers. It was really interesting. Those are some fun races. Off to get some lunch, never eating at the snack bar here. In fact, I don't even like the smell of the frying food. I would not like that at all if I was competing, because you can smell it in there. So Let's go find something to eat. Don't tell anyone, but I just needed something simple, something that has protein in it. So I just came to good old-fashioned McDonald's to get a double cheeseburger. I've got fat, I've got carbs, and I've got protein, and I can't wait to get back to just normal living at home. This is just to fuel up. I know what my macros are. They don't always have to be perfect, but what I'm looking for is something quick that I could get and get back to the competition. Yeah, that's what we're doing. There we go. Sometimes eating is just about trying to get the right numbers into the system with the least compromises when you're traveling. Yeah, I could have gone out to have lunch at like a fancier restaurant for sure, but that doesn't mean that the food is going to be healthier. I'm basically looking for some meat in the form of protein, some carbohydrates, ideally without grain, but if I went to a restaurant and I got a burger, I would have had a bun there and I probably would have had that, or I would have had maybe sweet potato fries. So there's lots of fat along with carbohydrates. So, again, a double cheeseburger is by far not perfect, but it's also just not that terrible of a choice given some other options. It's not like I can just run over to Chipotle. That's not that much better of an option. So you just go with what's a good option for what I can do right now, today, and that's what I did. I don't feel bad because it was delicious. So it's consistent, it's delicious, it's predictable, and I know what I'm getting. Gonna watch some athletes do a snatch race. And before the last event, I'm gonna jump on and I'm gonna share my thoughts about our semifinals versus the in-person semifinals. One of the things I've been thinking about is the difference between the individual semifinals and the Masters semifinals is certainly the in-person versus the virtual competition. And man, if I could create a perfect world, Masters would have an in-person semifinal, and there'd be multiple around the world, obviously, kind of in a similar format to this. The reality is that's super challenging logistically to really do. There are a lot of Masters athletes. There's a lot of divisions of Masters athletes. In fact, between 35 and 60 plus, let's see, I think there's 14 or 16 total divisions, male, female, altogether. So holding in-person competitions for that is just insane. However, the Masters demographic or the Masters population is the largest growing population in the CrossFit competitive space. There were more Masters athletes this year than there were last year. We're growing as Masters athletes. So I think it's not unthinkable that at some point in our future, we will have in-person competitions. Since CrossFit has separated out the Masters, the teenagers, the adaptive, and the individuals, and I think they'll probably eventually separate the teams into their own unique competitions. I think that's going to create a lot of opportunity for the organizations running those competitions to create interesting qualifiers. In-person qualifiers like this, it's not perfect. We saw this weekend that Roman Krennikov got away with a little jump off of a box instead of stepping down in order to win an event. So it's not perfect, but neither is virtual scoring and video review. That's not perfect either. They're both viable ways to get people to a final event like the CrossFit Games. So my whole point is I'd rather compete in person than virtually. I think it's a better test. I think you're getting a real test of actual competitive fitness. Like when I'm virtually competing, I don't get to see where my competitors are. So there's an urgency and a desperation to get through an event, but you can't do it the same way as in person. And I'm a much better in-person competitor. So I would prefer that. I think we've got a few years at least before we see in-person Masters competitions. But honestly, Masters athletes out there, vote with your dollars, vote with your participation, get involved in every competition you can, and let's overrun this thing. Let's just make our stuff so much bigger, and we'll see what that turns into over the next few years. couple of takeaways that I have from semifinals. The first is that every single event matters. I watched a few contenders during the last event lose their spot or gain their spot. Event 1 matters, event 2, event 3, they all matter. It's not like someone didn't lose a spot or gain a spot on the 6th event. It was the accumulation of points through the entire event. It just happened to be that a not absolutely amazing performance on 6 or an amazing performance on event 6 took it home for somebody. Whether you have 4 events like we did in our semifinals or 6 events like they had here, you're never out of the woods. Every single event counts. That was number 1. 2, precision is key. So being precise in every single one of your movements. There were no reps that cost people a significant amount of time and energy in various events. A no rep can just be so devastating. So being precise in everything is worth not having a no rep. Also, knowing your capacity, knowing your pacing. In the last event, there were a lot of people that went absolutely all out on the Echo Bike, and there wasn't anyone that did phenomenally well having come off the Echo Bike first, except for Dallin Pepper. He was the only one out of all of the athletes. So he knew himself. He knew what his capacity is. He paced other events. He hammered that Echo Bike and then hammered the ring muscle ups and was great on the walking lunges. He knew himself. I know myself. If I was doing that event, I would have been more conservative on the Echo Bike so that I could go big on the muscle-ups and big on the walking lunges. But you have to know yourself, know your capacity, and be precise in how you execute your movements. If you can snatch and you can just go to town on that, like event 5, you just go for it, that's great. But if you miss 1 rep, it sets you back so much. A pacing strategy and executing that pacing strategy perfectly tends to win everything. Another lesson was going to watch those events for me was way funner than I thought it would be. The races were really fun. It was fun to cheer, fun to get excited, fun to watch the leaderboard and be just wondering what the final results would be. I highly recommend it. Go watch some CrossFit competitions in person. If you've enjoyed this video, if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments below. Obviously, I like to respond or try to respond to all of them. And as always, guys, your best days are ahead of you. Get bolder, not older. See you next time.